Hello, neighbors. Today we're going to talk about Venus and how low self-esteem is a sin. So let's cut the fluff and jump right into it. The planet Venus in astrology is a benefic, meaning the planet emits favorable energy. The energy of Venus is easily felt when interacting with others because, like Mercury, Venus stays close to the sun, so being in close proximity, its influence is illuminated. To keep it simple, when you walk into a space, the energy is more easily felt by others. Venus is the planet in astrology that represents how we love and how we want to receive love. It's the honeymoon period. It rules self-love and how we harmonize with others. It's camaraderie. It represents our taste when it comes to material possessions. It influences our likes and dislikes, artistry, and overall contentment. It also represents the value we place on money and equality. Remember this one because it's significant in how we treat ourselves in relation to our Venus. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that Venus rhymes with penis. It's our relationship planet. But hey, it's just me. It could just be me making that correlation. But to sum up Venus most importantly represents our self-worth, our self-esteem, which brings us to the focus of this video. Venus is the main influencer into our state of our self-esteem. It colors how we navigate through life. In particular, how we interact with others and self, and how those interactions affects the quality of our life. When Venus is in a favorable or positive position, you can imagine that all areas mentioned earlier crystallizes favorably for the individual. But what happens when Venus is in a challenging or negative position? When there are challenges with a person's Venus, it is likely they will suffer from low self-esteem. The energy of low self-esteem can indicate negative traits and experiences, particularly in the earlier mentioned areas of life. An afflicted Venus can indicate difficulties or challenges in relationships, enjoyment of life's pleasures, and self-worth. I say low self-esteem is a sin because carrying the energy of low value and low self-esteem through life significantly lowers an individual's quality of life to where it can feel like you're walking through life repenting for your sins. The energy carries a trauma karma where most of a person's interaction and experiences will begin to validate their low self-worth. Now, when I mention trauma karma, I'm referring to inherited karma, the karma that is unearned, the karma that is not yours, but you're feeling the effects of it. Trauma that crystallizes due to things and events that happen to us. This can be inherited in two ways, one being through the actions of your family or from events that happen to us. It's not our fault when we experience trauma karma. However, we have control over how long this trauma karma will affect our lives. We have control of deciding to separate from this energy. We have the power to make changes and remedy the trauma karma to improve our quality of life, which I will touch on further into the video. I want to make a disclaimer. An afflicted Venus can occur when Venus in the birth chart is making a hard aspect to a malefic such as Saturn, Mars, or Pluto, or it is placed in a house where the energy does not allow Venus to exude the full potential of the Venusian energy. It doesn't allow Venus to flow naturally. Or affliction can be a planet in detriment or fall, meaning a sign that acts in contrast to the Venus energy, weakening the Venusian energy. It is worthy to also note that Venus in any aspect or placement can work out beneficial for a native when you recognize the affliction and intentionally put forth the steps to work with the energy to your overall growth. Another thing that is important to note is that astrology is a great tool to understand yourself, understand your gifts and challenges, and to get a view into your life path, but free will allows you to create your own journey. It allows you to put forth your own blueprint so you can realize the highest manifestation of your birth chart. Nothing is definitive, and the placement of Venus is just one factor among many in the birth chart. Astrologers such as myself consider the chart as a whole in order to provide a nuanced and accurate reading. So with that said, let's dive a little bit deeper into how a person with an afflicted Venus experiences and interactions can crystallize a lower quality of life. When a person's Venus is not well placed and they have not worked to remedy the affliction, their self-esteem is greatly affected and the energy can start to snowball and create negative situations. For example, when it comes to an afflicted Venus, the person carrying low self-esteem will have a negative relationship to money. Because you're in a space where you're carrying around a lack of self-worth, low self-esteem is going to spill over into areas such as money and your earning capacity. Let's take something as simple as a job search. Individuals with low self-esteem tend to disqualify themselves from positions that they're qualified for, and because of this tendency, they tend to go for jobs that they're underqualified for, setting them up to automatically earn less money. Even with negotiations where they have to fight for their salary, they're just happy that they're chosen for the job, so they may underbid themselves. They don't deem themselves worthy of a higher paying job, and they walk with the energy of imposter syndrome. When applying for jobs and negotiating pay, they severely undervalue themselves. Some even are highly aware that they're undervaluing themselves, but their low self-esteem creates a blockage to where they don't deem themselves worthy of requesting what they deserve or more. They may even, in the back of their minds, hope that the hiring manager will see that they're underbidding themselves and will say, you know what, that amount is way too low, we'll pay you more. That rarely ever happens. People by nature tend to be exploitative. So if you undervalue yourself, they're going to accept that and they're going to treat you how you treat yourself. And this is going to validate your self-worth, your low self-worth, leaving you with a negative affirmation of, I am not worthy. They deem me not to be worthy and I've accepted this low pay. And this creates resentment and self-hatred, contributing to your low quality of life. Venus is our money planet, our relationship to money. If we have low self-esteem, then money becomes problematic in our life. Now, this is just one example of how money doesn't come from a place of abundance due to low self-esteem. But this example can also translate into financial gifts one chooses to bestow on another when it comes to chasing after entrepreneurship endeavors that can create abundance and gifts that you may want to even purchase for yourself. None of these will be attained because your self-esteem, your low self-esteem, has already counted yourself out. So let's go right into the next example, which is low self-esteem and self-love. The most important relationship is the one we have with ourselves. How we treat ourselves creates a guideline on how others will treat us. The lack of love we show ourselves creates a trauma karma where we're walking around waving a flag that says, I'm open to abuse. Talk to me how you want. Disrespect me. I'm open to be your punching bag to boost your self-esteem. It welcomes bad experiences and fosters a playground where quality of life is highly diminished. When Venus is in a position where an individual has a low self-esteem, it is hard to see themselves of worthy of happiness, worthy of good things, worthy of good people. A negative crystallization of an afflicted Venus would be individuals that do not enjoy their own company. They'll surround themselves with negative people without considering the consequences just to have a distraction from their own energy. I emphasize negative people because those with low self-esteem do not have the courage or healthy boundaries to attract positive people, so they'll accept anyone that is willing to be in their presence. And this essentially is creating a tribe that feeds all things negative. And again, creating more negative experiences and trauma. The appearance of one that lacks self-love can crystallize in two extremes: severely disheveled or underwhelming, or overdone and excessive. When a person suffers from low self-esteem, you can see it because they lack the self-love to do the necessary upkeep for themselves. They may even have an unhealthy relationship with food, causing them to be underweight or overweight. And it's hard for them to see the purpose or value in treating themselves to things that emphasize their beauty, such as beauty maintenance, good quality apparel, and body care. On the flip side, a person that has low self-esteem may try to conceal their lack of self-love and worth by overdoing their appearance. Examples would be excessive cosmetic surgeries, overspending on material even when it's outside of their budget, creating a financial deficit that can further afflict their self-esteem. Having a lack of self-love prevents a person from protecting themselves and protecting their hearts. This can also show up in a person having a lack of boundaries when it comes to self-preservation, inviting things into their space that they know they do not like. Negative self-talk is one of the worst things because the conversation is ongoing and then normalized. You're constantly in a state where you're affirming you are not worthy of anything, and this is brutal for attracting good things to your life. It's like the universe is working hard to bring you prosperity, abundance, and verbal goodness to you, and you are constantly telling the universe, no, you're not ready, you're not worthy. This is the most constant killer of self-love that contributes greatly to low quality of life. Okay, so we're going to hop into how low self-esteem affects your relationships. So low self-esteem can and will manifest in your relationships. It influences the type of person that one attracts into their space and the type of experiences that come from such an attraction. When a person has low self-esteem, it can prevent relationships with people that would be deemed good for them. Take, for example, if Venus was in a difficult aspect to Saturn, the person may have a hard time forming close relationships or feeling fulfilled in romantic partnerships. They may even attract people that may be very controlling over them, almost like an authoritarian parental figure, as opposed to an equal partner. Remember earlier, I said pay attention to equality because it significantly makes an impact in relationships with those suffering from low self-esteem. Individuals that have low self-esteem rarely deem themselves to be equal. Equality is major because it can go both ways. Either the person will find themselves with partners that look down on them, and they will stay because they feel good that someone even wants them, or the person will seek someone out that they deem as lesser than to feign a false level of self-worth. Both types of relationships lack authentic love. Now, let's say that a person with low self-esteem does find a positive mate. They may self-sabotage it by being distrustful, doubting themselves and asking, why is this person with me? They can become so distrustful that they can push a person away. A lack of self-worth can create a great need for external validation, which over time can grow into a heavy burden on the person tasked to do the validating, again, forcing the relationship to turn sour. Outside of the need for validation, a person can carry around anxiousness and fear. Fear of rejection caused by low self-esteem can make you fear rejection and abandonment. This can cause you to cling to your partner, becoming overly dependent on them, pushing them away out of the fear of getting hurt, or sometimes you'll prevent even putting yourself in spaces with the person, missing out on a chance of ever getting to know them on any kind of level. People that carry the spirit of low self-esteem often display a lack of assertiveness. This prevents them from asserting the boundaries needed to foster a healthy relationship. It makes them fearful of setting acceptable boundaries needed to create a safe space of respect and love. All of their interactions are solely in the hands of the other party's expectations, and they're susceptible to relationships that do not cater to their needs, their wants, their desires, their likes. All of those things which create contentment in oneself and in one's relationship. Now you see how an afflicted Venus crystallizes in one's life and why I would say something like low self-esteem is a sin. The energy of low self-esteem permeates in every sector of your life, creating a life where it feels like the person is constantly having to repent. So I explained how low self-esteem shows up, but here are ways that you can remedy low self-esteem or an afflicted Venus to improve your relationships with self and others and increase your overall quality in life. So the first step is affirm yourself. People with low self-esteem have negative conversations with themselves day in and day out, but surprisingly, they're great at providing words of affirmation and positivity to others. So they're aware of the power that positive affirmation has on the self-esteem, and they know how to do it, but they don't deem themselves worthy of positive internal dialogue. Learn to affirm yourself. Have positive conversations with yourself. This requires you to be conscious of the negative self-talk and stop it in action. When you catch the negative self-talk, like I'm not good at or I'm not worthy of, challenge it by quickly turning it around and say, I am good at, I am worthy of. Speak in the positive form regardless of how you are feeling, and continue to do so even if you believe you are being fake to yourself. The practice of positive self-talk will normalize for you and cause an external shift in how you present to the world. Learn to give the same kindness that you would give to others. Okay, so number 2 is date yourself. In the same way you would set out time to meet someone for a date, you need to set out time to date yourself. Block out a day and time where you intentionally enjoy your own company. Do something you like. Pick up some food and head to the lakeshore, get some refreshments and plan a movie night. Book that reservation and enjoy that restaurant you've always wanted someone to bring you to. If anyone should try to take you out during the time that you've already set out for yourself, tell them you're not available. Do not cancel on yourself and learn to enjoy yourself with the things you like to do. All too often, especially for women, we're so quick to throw our plans that we set out for ourselves for somebody else. We could have plans such as setting out time for mani-pedi, planning to use that new conditioner and wash our hair. But as soon as a particular somebody or man calls, we immediately cancel the plans we made with ourselves. Number 1, being too available is unattractive. But what's worse is, why would you bail on yourself? You're so quick to bail on yourself, and when others bail on you, you get furious. Why would you get mad if someone bails out on you and you're so quick to do that to yourself? You can't get mad now, hun, because you did it to yourself once upon a time. Again, treat yourself how you want others to treat you. Your presence is just as important. Actually, scratch that. Your presence is more important. So again, why would you bail on yourself? You're sending the wrong messages to your brain. You're telling your brain that their presence is more valuable than yours, that their plans are more important than the plans that you made with yourself. So not only are you showing this other person that you're just available to them anytime they request you, that you're at their beck and call, you're also telling yourself that your likes, wants, values is less important, which is one of the worst things that you can do for yourself, for your brain. Normalizing that the company of another is better than your own company is detrimental to the quality of your self-esteem. You have to learn to treat yourself as a person of significance, a person of importance. As I said before, The relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship that you'll ever have. Do not bail on yourself. Program yourself to honor the time that you set aside to invest in yourself. Program yourself to honor your own company, and don't let anybody infringe on the time that you set out for yourself. Me time is for you. That is for you to build a bond with yourself, to build that self-love. If a person is worthy of you, they will understand that. But really and truly, you don't even need to tell them that you're dating yourself. That is your time. And again, being less available is more attractive, so it can work in your favor. When you learn to enjoy your own company, this energy will not only improve the relationship you have with yourself, but you will learn how you like to be treated, and this will generalize to your relationship with others. Set the standard for yourself that others will eventually follow. So we're going to go over to number 3, which is self-care. Self-care is internal and external. Internally, you have to recognize where you believe you fall short and improve upon it. If you believe you're not good at conversing, then seek the knowledge that helps you to develop that skill. For example, get cue cards with different topics and start talking about it. It's also helpful to video yourself and improve in that way. If you find previous traumas are affecting how you show up, seek therapy or a spiritual coach that can provide you with the tools and grounding techniques. Now, externally, when you look good, you feel good. This is one of the most accurate cliches. Find your uniform. Make sure that your closet has easy, comfortable pieces that look good on your shape. Keep up with your grooming routine. Make the time so you're putting effort into your appearance. Venus represents superficiality as well. Your appearance matters, and while it may be superficial, it does have great positive effects to how you are received and how you feel inside. So number 4, self-inventory. This is so important. It is so easy for us to say what we can't do, but hardly do we state with confidence what we can do. Taking self-inventory of all your strengths, positive characteristics, and skills is something that should be done routinely. Take time to sit with your journal and write things that are positive to you. This is not the time to list the negatives where you can improve upon. That can be done during internal self-care, when you're reflecting on what and how to improve and build self-esteem. Self-inventory, in this case, focuses on your good qualities. Write it out to affirm your self-worthiness. Be honest with yourself and do not allow negative self-talk from recognizing your greatness. Start small. Example, I'm good with kids, and expand on it. I'm kind to children. I am fun with children. I love children. Pull from that. I'm kind, fun, and loving. I am good at writing blogs about my experiences. From that example alone, you can gather that you're good at creating a narrative. You're good at using your experience to connect. You're good at teaching lessons. You're good at capturing attention through words. We all have a plethora of good qualities and skills, but we overlook them by paying too much attention to the self-perceived negative qualities. Learning to recognize and acknowledging your positive qualities causes mental shifts that crystallizes in increased self-worth, and this changes the way in which you interact and who you choose to interact with. Understanding your skills allows you to understand your value, and in turn will increase your earning potential, building a healthier relationship with you and your money. Okay, we're moving right along. We're going to number 5, which is self-preservation. Learn the power of no. It is great to be someone that is known to be reliable, but your reliability should never come at the expense of yourself. If anyone requests anything of you that infringes on your time, mental space, comfortability, and positivity, say no. If someone requests things such as money or any material that can put you at a loss, say no. You must ensure that you're taken care of at all times because favors can put you in a deficit. And often people do not extend the same kindness when it's time to repay favors, and this creates resentment. The resentment is a poison that adds to the lowering of your self-esteem. So learn to say no and preserve yourself. So number 6, boundaries. So boundaries is my last tip to improving self-esteem and creating a healthy flow of your Venusian energy. Be comfortable setting boundaries. Stop going into spaces where you feel disrespected, abused, taken advantage of, and where appreciation does not live. It will never get better. Continuously putting yourself into those kind of spaces normalizes bad behaviors of others towards you. Your brain starts to create patterns where you begin to feel accustomed to receiving ill treatment, and it will generalize into other areas of your life. If you have to speak to someone who usually resorts to verbal abuse, stop the conversation immediately and say, I will not continue this conversation while you're verbally abusive. Then walk away or hang up. Remove your presence until they act accordingly. If this someone is someone that you don't have to communicate with, then cease all forms of communication. If someone wants you to watch something that you know is toxic for your mental, let them know. I find that content inconducive to my mental and what I'm trying to achieve. If someone shows up to your house unannounced, be cordial and tell them that you aren't a fan of unexpected visitors, and tell them you won't be answering the next time they do that. And if they do it again, follow through. Don't answer and they're going to get it. They will learn to understand that it's your boundary, and behaviors that cross the boundaries will not be rewarded. Teach others how to treat you. So I provided 6 ways to strengthen your Venus energy, but I want to add one more because 7 is a good number. It's a spiritual number. So the last tip I'm going to provide is embrace your uniqueness. The little quirks that you have about yourself that causes you embarrassment, learn to embrace and develop them. It is your uniqueness that brings out your beauty, allows you to stand out in the crowd, and in turn, heightens your self-esteem. Never try to fit into the mold of what society deems as conventional beauty. That is a dime a dozen. And furthermore, conventional beauty is an oxymoron. There's actually little beauty in convention. Really read the definition of conventional. Let me define it for you. Conventional is of a person concerned with what is generally held to be acceptable at the expense of individuality and sincerity. At the expense of individuality and sincerity. It is our individuality and sincerity, our authenticity, that allows us to shine, allows our beauty to radiate. So why try to fit into a mold? Embrace your unique quirks, style, and expressions, and shine bright. Low self-esteem doesn't have to feel like a sin. There are so many various ways that you can work with an afflicted Venus to increase your self-esteem. The trick to increasing your Venusian energy is to start with deciding to separate from that trauma karma that lowered your self-esteem in the first place. Do the work by taking the mentioned steps to foster self-love so that the Venus energy can emit in all your interactions with others, your money, and your values. So this brings us to the end of our discussion with regards to Venus and low self-esteem. Low self-esteem does not have to be a sin. We have the choice to strengthen it and walk into our magic, our energy, our purpose with a sense of self-worth. If you enjoy the commentary, please comment down below, like, share the video, and definitely subscribe. And I will see you with the next video. And until then, flow with the energy and take every blessing and opportunity the universe has in store for you. Peace and prosperity to you, and we'll chat soon.